Just one big joke. It's a fucked up world. Here we are in. I ain't going nowhere.
You're so good. Oh, it already started. Hey, what's going on, everybody? You're welcome back to the Reason Reborn. I'm sitting here reminiscing off of old tunes, listening to Cyndi Lauper, and then this guy walks in, and we decided to start the show, and I'm still talking about Cyndi Lauper. Anyway, welcome. This is episode 42. I'm here with my co-host Cardiacsumo. Say what's up with the people, sir.
How's it hanging, people? What's up?
For a lot of priests, it shouldn't be hanging at all right now. But let's just go ahead and start. First of all, thank you for the questions, by the way, on the Askfm. We've got some questions that I think are just ridiculous. Seriously, I need to figure out what you people are doing when you're asking these questions on Askfm. Like, I don't understand some of them. But some of them are kind of okay.
I've got some good ones and stuff. Although I'm behind as fuck on answering some.
Yeah, no, and I'm not gonna answer all. I've already said this before. Like me personally, I'm not gonna answer them all. I don't think any of you guys would have answered any of these XFL questions. Like the first question we got actually on the Wise Guy XFM was, "What are your memories from this winter? Tell me, please." I don't know. I was a winter. Well, there's a bunch of more silly questions. One question I probably had to save for the other podcast is about relationships. Unless you want to answer a relationship question. I mean,
and a couple. Are we answering questions?
I'm looking to see if there's anything that is worth our time. I mean, we can answer the relationship one first if you want to go ahead and do that. You know, kind of.
What is it?
It's just simply, what do you think about long distance relationships?
I think as technology gets better and better, I think it's more and more viable. There's something to be said for having, that direct human connection. But, I feel like a lot of people just assume long distance relationships can't work out. I've seen a couple that have gone on for like years. They're like stronger than some in person.
I actually know someone who's been married about a decade now off of a long distance relationship that started online. So,
yeah, I was briefly romantically interested with somebody from online stuff. Like, the reason I say this technology improves more is because I think the idea that long distance relationships can't work out is probably born more from a time where like that probably meant letters and then phone calls and shit like that. But now you have video chat, you have so many different ways to communicate, maybe VR chat coming up. I just think communication techniques, there's so many different ones from texting to video chat to all that shit that it just makes it easier and easier to do.
Yeah, I agree. It's become, and now it's a norm. I remember back when this, being the old man that I am, I remember when all this shit started, AOL became the thing. Yes, I know. I said AOL. That's how we used to do it, people. And all that. It was just like a lot. People didn't accept it. It was so not socially accepted. Now it is. So that helps. Because back then, if you were online looking for somebody, you were looked at as a weirdo. And now all of a sudden, it's like, that's just a major way to hook up. I mean, these days, I mean, nobody really goes seeking out like dates and clubs and stuff like that like they used to.
I was watching a comedy show, and I don't know if she was being serious because it was, stand-up or whatever, but it was on Netflix, and she mentioned that she was, getting married or whatever, and she met her dude on one of those dating apps or something. And I was like, man, that is just so common. And she just said it like it was just totally normal. I'm like, man, we've gone in an interesting direction.
Yeah, no, back in the day, if you said that you met somebody, they'd be like, "Oh, you poor soul. You can't find a date." It was like, for you to do that meant that you're helpless. Now it's like, no.
And I don't mean to drag looks into it, but there's no way she was helpless because she's fine as fuck. But
yeah, and that's the thing. It's not like it used to be you're helpless, you clearly aren't attractive, or else you wouldn't be on here hiding yourself, blah blah. It was all the negatives of dating, but no, like Like, yeah, you meet some fine people online. I should know. So
I don't think there's anything wrong with it. I think at some point there should be a more physical aspect to your relationship, assuming you want that. But yeah, I think it's better. And I think you might not find it weird if you think more about just like regular friendships you develop online. Like I'm friends with this guy. We talk all the time outside of the show.
I know. Why am I friends?
He's a dick all the time, but that happens. So
it helps.
This fucking dude.
I'm just saying, I'm charming, so I can get away with it.
Just before starting up, I was. I don't even know what the terms are nowadays. I was about to say texting, instant messaging, whatever we say now, with somebody on Discord that I met in a video game, and we've been friends for like 3-4 years now. Like she brought it up the other day. It's like, man, I've known you for like 4 years, and not just like passive friends. Like back when I was in school and I, needed a little cash, she sent me a little money. I sent her a little money like a year or so later. Just like helping each other out financially when one or the other was going through hard times and shit. So it's not even like acquaintance level friendships. It's like pretty deep friendships. I don't think people think that those types of friendships are that uncommon. So if you just kind of extend that into the romantic realm, I don't think it'll be as weird as a lot of people probably think it still is.
Yeah, and it's funny because you just reminded me that my 3 longest friendships in my life, only one of them was someone that I've met physically, like first, and that would be my best friend from high school. Everybody else, Katina, and my other friend from Chicago. Those are the 2 longest people outside of my best friend that I've known for over 20 years. And both of them were online. I met online. So that's crazy. But all right, here's another question that I think you would like to answer, and I probably should too, because I need to think of an answer. All right, if people wore warning signs, what would be written on yours?
I guess it depends on what you want to be warned about. Like on the surface level, it could just say, hyper sarcastic dick. Deeper, I guess it would probably say like maniac suppressing extreme depression or something crazy like that. I don't know.
What would be my warning sign? I don't know. Just don't be stupid. Maybe that should be my warning sign.
Is it? I think I misunderstood what the sign was supposed to be.
No, I'm just like, no, you're. That's what I mean. It's supposed to say whatever you think it should say on it.
Sure.
Like, I just don't know what mine should actually say. I mean,
I just meant like, is it warning them about something scary about me, or am I warning them not to do something or I'll kill them?
I guess it could be whatever, because this is a problem I have too with ags. Some of y'all kind of be specific with your questions. Like I got a question on my personal one today that said, "Who are your top 5?" My top 5 what?
It doesn't matter. I'm the answer. 1 through 5. Bam.
People I would most like to stick a pin in their eye. Sure, you on that list.
Some of them I don't answer because they just have like misspellings or whatever, like a wrong word usage. Like I got one that said, "How old we you?"
See, this one would be good for the his point. Her. It's just a weird question. Like that anyway. But like, why do nice people choose the wrong people to date? I don't know. Jeez.
It's a vague question.
Yeah, and then somebody asked, "What's my favorite song?" That's a good question. I don't know. I have a lot of favorite songs.
Goofy Goober from SpongeBob, dude.
The last one I got was, which do you think is more important, following the dreams your parents want for you or following your own dreams? And I probably will do a video on this separately, but to tell you now, follow your own damn dreams. Please. Don't do that.
I've given that advice to, because especially in school, when parents are paying, sometimes they have a tendency to like make you do certain things because they have the financial power over you. And I always think, you know, you're not the one who has to live that kid's life. So maybe you should shut the fuck up.
Yeah, exactly. All right, so we're done with the questions. Now let's go to the topics. The first topic. So this popped up today, breaking news. And report details sexual abuse by more than 300 priests in Pennsylvania's Catholic Church. All these, basically, what has come down is that the grand juries and the Catholic Church both agreed in Pennsylvania that there are at least more than 300 credible cases of sexual abuse by priests
in Pennsylvania. Not even like Earth, like Pennsylvania.
Yeah. Or as they call them, there's more than 300 predator priests sexually abusing more than 1,000 kids. It gets worse because a quote from the grand jury says, "We believe that the real number of children whose records were lost or who were afraid ever to come forward is in the thousands." So this has been an ongoing problem for the Catholic Church, as more recently, especially with the current Pope, who's very willing to bring this to task and bring this to light and talk about it, to have this actually taken care of. This has been something that the Catholic Church has been seriously dealing with over the last few years, and this is another kind of blow. Reminds me of that tweet I sent you the other day when who was it? Ice-T. Somebody said something about what was the tweet? Because somebody mentioned something about how like you got
it was like about Disney or something.
Yeah. And something like, what, you guys are like trying to have sex with kids? He was like, what? This ain't the Catholic Church. Something like that. It was like, oh shit. But
and then I made that awesome joke about it being cold. Good times.
You just had to throw that dumb shit in there, didn't you? Yes, you made the cold joke because Ice-T. I get it. Whatever. Anyway. But what are your thoughts on this like weird bombshell that they just decided to drop?
I mean, I don't even know if I would call it a bombshell per se. Child sexual abuse has been a problem in the church.
Yeah, I know, but
probably forever. I guess it's still not even really that shocking to me. Now that I've heard it and kind of internalized it, I'm like, yeah, that sounds like a low estimate. But so as a not religious person, I'm super curious, especially to Catholic people, if there are any out there. Do you not have any reservations about taking your kids to like these places? This isn't me victim blaming or something like that. It's a terrible thing that happened to these kids. I'm just, you've heard these stories for as long as I can remember, so I have to assume at least several decades. Does it not feel like a little scary, the idea of bringing your kids to these people?
No, it's a seriously valid question. It's a question I've had a lot about church because, we've all heard church stories, I think, growing up. Whether you never went to church or you have gone to church. If you've gone to church, you probably have heard one or two stories. It's not just a Roman Catholic thing. Let's be honest. You hear all types of stories, some not involving kids, some involving kids, things like that. You hear like something about the deacon, the pastor, what have you. And yet I do think that people don't necessarily look at church as not a safe haven, regardless of this. Because for many, that's what church is supposed to be. But at the same time, it's like you think about, like when I think about the numbers that they're spitting here, it's just like over 300 priests. That's a lot of churches. Over like at least 1,000 if not thousands of kids, that's a lot of damn kids, and it's spanning over a long time. Like, why do people feel? I don't know. Why did people feel so like scared to come out and say? I hate the fact that you fear, and that's the one thing I've always hated about religion. Which is why I have my issues with it. It's like the generation of fear that religion puts should not go that far. It's one thing for you to teach me to fear God and all of that. I mean, that's a whole nother thing that bothers me. But the fact that you are now fearing these priests and what they say about you and how they frame you to God or whatever, that you're allowing them to do this stuff, that's not right. And that's a scary power to like have within people. You know, because again, thousands of kids, hundreds of priests getting away with this for a long time, all because of like whatever power they draw from their position. And it's ridiculous. It's worse than like anything that you could say about the Me Too to me, because like, again, a lot of people look at religion as like a safe, uplifting, you know, place where you can come and find peace. That ain't peace. And it's sad that I want to know what the parents have to say, to be quite honest, because most of these parents knew what the fuck was going on too. And that's, I think, what bothers me the most is like, it's not just like the fact that these priests were doing this, but these parents had to know something and let this shit go on. For what reason? Don't know. Like,
I would like to think most didn't, but given those numbers, I have to think some of them knew and were suppressing that information, or, you know, maybe their kids told them and they didn't believe them. Because, you know, when you were talking, one of the things I was thinking was, you know, one of the issues about, well, really authority figures in general, but especially religious authority figures, is that they just kind of have this reputation about them, this image around them that they are inherently morally good actors because they are religious authority figures. So if somebody says something bad about them, I think people are more inclined not to believe the bad things about them because they wouldn't do that. They're a man of God, such and such, right? So I think that status that they have as a religious authority figure is easily weaponized because in our society, or at least within religious communities, those people are really upheld. And I think even in society in general, we tend to treat them with more respect than I really honestly believe that they warrant. Because, I mean, hell, you look at the religious councils like presidents have, or even just in the country, you always have these religious people, you know, being brought on the news to discuss certain major topics. And I always look at that and I think, why are we talking to these people? I'm not trying to be a dick about it, but like, who are they that they warrant our society's attention? Granted, they tend to be high up figures in religions that a lot of people believe in. So I understand it just based on the numbers, but just this sort of assumption that we make that a religious authority figure is morally good, it has some sort of authority in general, is odd. And I think it makes it hard for their victims to really talk up, because I assume the religious community is not going to be on the side of the victim.
Yeah, and see, that's the thing. Like you said, the man of God. I really need people to start, like, you know, again, I'm not the super religious person, but one thing that makes me not that is because I can't get down with the concept of the man of God thing. He's still a man. I think people need to stop putting like the God label on a lot of these people, because just because you speak the word doesn't necessarily mean that you believe in it, or that it's something that you have some type of authority just because you got, you know, again, I think I told this to people before. I have a sister who is famously known for stealing, robbing, cheating, doing things like stealing people's social security numbers, stealing identity. She stole my mom's identity after my mom died. It was drawing her social security. She's an ordained minister, by the way.
God damn.
And yeah,
Plot twist. I was not expecting that.
Exactly. And the thing is, she was worse. She was just as bad before she got it. She's just as bad after. Just because you are someone, a quote unquote man of God, doesn't mean that you aren't the same person or that you're not capable of doing horrible things. And I think that's the thing. It's like once you got the label, people start to think, well, you must be good because you have this label. No, because clearly somebody like my sister can get this shit. Anybody can get that shit. That doesn't make you a great person at all just because you have that. And I think we put too much power into the fact that, you know, they have the collar or whatever, and they're ordained and all that. And we tend to like try to back away from like thinking, well, they're capable of doing just as bad as we are, or worse things. And it's the pedestal that you should never put a person on at all. But we allow ourselves to do that. That's why you get all these like televangelists over the years who end up getting caught for all these like crooked things. Is because everybody's so focused on the fact that, well, he's clearly a man of God. Nothing going on here. And that's when they get away with murder. And that's why this has progressively happened in the Catholic Church. And now the Catholic Church is getting beat on. It's like, I know a lot of people want to say that, you know, religion is getting beat on, but part of the reason is that we sit here and we turn a blind eye to some serious issues, all because it's a religious person or it falls within the realm of religion. And that's not right. That is totally not right, because you get to the point where now you have cases like this. And then what? You can't just explain it by saying, well, they're men of God or stuff like that. That don't work no more. It has to be an accounting. And that's why I guess it bothers me the most, because I feel like people just don't seem to get that point at all.
It's interesting. They get this sort of moral standing assumption where you just kind of assume they're good because of that title. And it's not like they've really done anything necessarily to show that they're good. It's not like you see them out, you know, doing a bunch of charity work necessarily, or giving a bunch of their money away for, you know, those in need. It's not necessarily their actions that are making you think they are good people. It's just what they have devoted their life to, which is religion, I guess. And there's a deeper point there, right? A lot of people tend to think of religion and moral righteousness as the same thing, almost synonymous. So when you say, you know, you have a guy or gal who's devoted their life to religion, that inherently makes you think that they are morally good, because a lot of people just make the assumption that religion is morally good. So it seems like an obvious assumption to make. I thought you brought up a good point about, you know, other churches doing this type of stuff, because I don't know what the numbers are, but I have heard the argument that people are unfairly harsh on the Catholic Church because churches in general indulge in this type of thing. I think one of the things that's concerning about the Catholic Church, though, is that they tend to be more organized than a lot of the other religious branches are. Yeah. So with them, it's not just that they are abusing kids, it's that they can work as an organization to cover it up in a way that some of the other branches cannot do, because they're not as organized as the Catholic Church is. They don't have like this, you know, the Vatican or whatever. They don't have like a Vatican equivalent. They don't have necessarily the same type of hierarchy the Catholic Church does. So I do think it's fair to say that it's probably not just that Catholics are unusually attracted to children, but I think they might be more dangerous than some of the other branches in their ability to work together to suppress certain information.
I think that's why I appreciate this Pope more, because he's openly just like, no, we can't keep doing this shit. And well, he's not saying it that way. I'm saying it that way. I wonder if he does curse. That would be interesting if he actually did like curse like that, like stop doing this shit. Like, but anyway,
he was on the toilet. He saw this shit on his phone, like motherfucker.
But no, he's like very much like pushing to see this stuff like weeded out, and he's pushing for like people to seek him out, to actively help the courts and things like this. So I appreciate that about him, because it's like, yeah, I mean, it's like, yo, honestly, how could you take them serious? I kind of feel like if you want to be taken serious in that realm, especially in the religious realm, clean your shit up. Because that's one of the reasons why you're getting beaten down, because the shit that you do is so hypocritical and counterintuitive to whatever messages that you're trying to put out there. It's like, whether you believe or not, I think anybody would appreciate it if you weren't so just blatantly screwed up. At least you could give it, because I'm sure even you could appreciate if at least they were decent. You even as an atheist, if you don't believe in any of that thing, you'd be like, okay, you could at least say, okay, at least you're just not a total fucking nightmare of a place. I mean, that does abusive, ridiculous thing.
Even as an atheist, I can admit the positive aspects there are to some religions. I think that they are somewhat good at, say, indulging in charitable acts because they're organized around such things. Not every church is equally good at this, but some of them do have a particularly strong charitable bent that you might not see in less religious groups. That's not to say that those of us who aren't religious don't do charitable acts. I'm just saying.
He made me dance, people.
that was a gift to the nation. You do see some churches indulge in very good charitable acts, and I think they deserve credit for that. So when I've said things like, churches shouldn't be tax exempt, I meant that they shouldn't be tax exempt just because they're a church. I think you can exempt them in the sense that they are charitable and they're doing charity work, and they can get whatever exemptions exist for that type of thing. They shouldn't just get it because they believe in a particular thing. That was really my only point there. So I think there are decent things about churches I'd certainly be willing to admit as a fair-minded person. But to your point, it's kind of hard to want to touch that when you have such horrendous things happening. And I think, this goes back to my question about what do parents feel when they bring their kids into organizations like this? The idea that Catholic priests touch kids is not new. It's like a meme in our culture. We all make jokes about that. We've been making jokes like that forever. So when I saw this headline, I'm like, yeah, those are some interesting numbers. But I feel like for a lot of people who see that headline, it's probably not going to have the amount of weight it ought to have because we're so used to the idea that Catholic priests touch kids.
And that's sad that that's a norm of life. That should not be a fucking norm.
No. But I mean, maybe it's just that I'm cold-hearted, but I feel like
no, you're right though, because while it seems fresher, I guess it's something that I could say it definitely got more vocal in my lifetime. It's been decades since shit's been that I can recall, since it's been a really big outed problem, and it's always been that quiet thing that people talk in the back. I was it's I hate to put it this way, but it's like that one cousin or uncle in the family that everybody knows does some questionable things, but they just continue on about their business like things are normal, even though it's just not fucking normal.
Yeah, you said something about the fact that we tend to let things like this slide when it comes into the realm of religion. I think one way to illustrate that is to think about this. Imagine there was imagine you said in the school districts in Pennsylvania, teachers are abusing kids at this rate. We would send the fucking army or something in there.
Yeah.
What the fuck are you doing? But I don't even know what we do when churches are touching up kids like this. Any other kind of organization, you would see some extreme acts.
When you hear about a teacher touching the kid or having sex, they get eviscerated in the news cycle.
Sure. But the church does it, and it's again, to be fair, we're kind of used to that idea, which is sad, but I think it's also just because they are a church and we're not really handling them with adult gloves like we would with any other organization. Because I think if you had this happening in schools or daycares or, wherever else has access to a significant amount of children, you would see a much harsher reaction, maybe just legally, and definitely socially than you're seeing right now with this, because it's church, so it's kind of like in its own little realm where it's a bit harder to attack it.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, it's sad. Hopefully, they will prosecute, and these guys will spend a shit ton of time in jail the rest of their lives, probably.
While they're doing that, I just need the parents to answer that question, like why?
Yeah, that's my problem too, because it's like all these years you had to have known. Like, I'd be sick to myself. My kid, and I think that's the thing. Another thing too is like kids have a hard time expressing themselves as it is. Can you imagine having to express something like that and then finally getting the courage to do it, and your own parent is like unwilling to do anything if they know? Like, cause I'm sorry, if I heard there's any rumor that our pastor was fucking with like a kid, hell, my daughter could be 25. And if I heard that the pastor is trying to fucking hit on my daughter, I would punch the shit out of him and do it in the middle of the church.
Sure.
Because no. Hell, you don't even have to be a pastor. Shut up, you wait for you fucking watch out. Like,
probably easier to get at you if you weren't a pastor or whatever religious figure. It's really odd, and I guess because I'm not deep enough into their community, I don't really know what the general reaction is from them, but it has to be weak given just how much they get away with.
Yeah.
And we all give, what's his name, the Pope, credit for, cracking down on this. I mean, hooray, but I think the fact that it's a problem that's that prevalent in that religious community is itself something to be talking. Like, you shouldn't have to have King, Godsucker over here cracking the whip on you guys. You should just not be fucking kids.
Yeah, exactly. It's sad that it has to like be like this huge big edit from not even the first Pope. This is like, how long has the Pope been? This is centuries. And finally one decides, you shouldn't do this.
Yeah. Maybe I'm being petty, but I feel like religious people are going to be like, see, the Pope, he's so enlightened, he's so moral. And it's like, how do you account for like your general religious culture overall if he has to do that? Maybe
I give him credit when credit due for being the person that he is. But yeah, no, you're totally right. Why is this like all of a sudden now and move? Because this one guy just it's just like if me and you are like doing drugs and Katina walks in, it's like, probably shouldn't do drugs. Even it's like, okay, we're gonna stop, or we're just gonna stop because of her, and shouldn't like somebody else in our circle been like said something before Katina? Why did it take Katina to be the one to fucking be, to say something, to point out the elephant in the room in an extreme way? That's how I feel like this is how it's been going. It's like, it's been a big problem that has quietly come up and like gone down over the years. But now all of a sudden one man decides to keep it in the news, and now you want to act like that sucks.
And to your point, much respect to him, but I feel like this should be sparking a bigger conversation about what is it about, at least this one, maybe all of them, the religious culture that allows it to fester kid fuckers, I guess. I don't know what to call them, but because there's something about it that allows them to generate this kind of problem in a way that most other organizations don't.
Yeah.
Maybe it's just access to kids. Maybe it's just the weird power dynamic you get. I don't know. There's something worth investigating there.
No, you're right, because to bring back up your teacher thing, it's like, we don't hear this. Like, we hear crazy shit about teachers having sex with students, but we don't hear about it often. Nor is it like being said in the thousands. And that's the place where you have more access to kids, I think, on a regular basis. Like, they have access to your kids 5 days a week. So why is it that the church seems to have this really extra creepy like vibe to it when it comes to that type of stuff?
Something for the Catholics to answer, I guess. Shit.
Yeah, like it's a weird thing. But
for those of you who are having your faith shaken by that, there's always the sinner land. Come over and be a heathen. I'm like the only atheist that recruits.
You're actively recruiting, sir. This is not your recruiting ground. Stop it. Don't do that. All right. Next story. So Peter Strzok, or I think it is Strzok, right?
I thought it was Strzok.
Or Strzok. I don't know. The guy who tweeted shit about Trump for the FBI has been fired, which is setting off a new wave of legal talk, because now it may open up the door for him to seek litigation and to put Trump in a bigger spotlight in this situation, because while they had officially said that he would be given like due process and everything would go strictly by the book, they seem to have jumped through the book and decided, just fire him. So
that, I don't know if I wasn't paying enough attention, but I felt like it came out of nowhere, because they had, to your point, they had, I think they had decided on some like 60-day probationary period.
Yeah,
where he had to be like a good boy or else. Like, he took a demotion, which I guess must have come with a pay cut. Like, he was already being punished at this point, so it seemed odd that I don't even remember who it was who had the power to do this, because apparently
the FBI director Christopher Wray.
Was it? Yeah. Like I said, they already set out the punishment. They were carrying it out on him, as I don't remember when it started, but he was undergoing that punishment period, and then somebody just kind of overruled that and said, "Yeah, fuck you, get out."
Yeah, which I think is just a dumb political move. Because one, it's not going to strike any fear in anybody. All right, so you know who you could least scare? A federal agent. Unless this federal agent has done something treasonous, there's little you can do to scare them. Like, so I seriously don't understand what's the point. Like, what's the chess move here? This guy was gone about his business. He wasn't bothering anybody. You buried him officially. You buried his career without getting rid of him. You already had him where you wanted him anyway. So just now firing him, what is that doing? I don't get it.
I saw somebody make the argument that it was useful in that, the president and them were using Strzok as a political punching bag, and they figured if they just get him off the table, he can't be used that way to, mess with the organization anymore. I don't really see that as that effective. I guess I can see the argument that, these guys that are under Trump's umbrella are constantly using this guy as the way to like rile up their base. Like, oh, the FBI is filled with bias. They're trying to start a coup or whatever crazy conspiracy theories they've got. So I guess they figure if they just move this play piece off the table, it can't be used to their advantage. I don't.
They've turned him into a martyr. Because he's already went through his investigations. He's already went through his hearings. It's pretty much been proven that, hey, yeah, he fucked up. He got penalized for what he did. Is fucked up. In the long run, it did nothing to prove any type of bias or anything like that. It was just a dumbass who did some dumb shit and fucked his career. The end. Now you're making it look like, oh, well, you're singling him out because you're trying to scapegoat him. You've made him. You're making him a martyr. He's a sympathetic.
Yeah, pretty much.
That hearing already made him a sympathetic figure. You made a dick a sympathetic figure already. Now you've made him not only a sympathetic figure, but somewhat of a martyr. He can wave his flag now.
Especially if he decides to go out there and start hitting up those big news channels or whatever, and we get used to seeing his face a little bit more. Like, don't flood us, but like, let us see you, shed a tear. I serve my country, blah, blah, blah. And martyr status, set, there you go. You're good. I'm envisioning you on the cross. You're good. I don't know. I don't see this as a particularly strong strategy. I don't remember who it was. It must have been, maybe it was like Maddow or something. I was listening to something this morning on the way to work, And they were talking about the number of people, part of this investigation who've been fired by now, up this chain. And it's like, man, that's kind of scary that all these people involved with that have lost their jobs. They talked about Strzok, obviously, McCabe, Comey. It was like a handful, like 5 or so, I think, of like all these high up people who just don't work there anymore all of a sudden because for the most part they dared to cross the Orange Titan. I don't know what to think about the fact that people keep losing their jobs over this. It makes Trump feel scarily powerful. I'm not saying he can just, necessarily do whatever the fuck he wants, but the way he just attacks everybody to the point where they just kind of, I don't want to say break down. I don't know. It's just odd when we look back over the past couple of years and see the people who got dragged into this fight with him and are just not around anymore. Like, where is McCabe? Is he out in the woods fucking a tree or something? Nobody knows.
I mean, it's scary, but it's also stupid because all of the situations in which he fired him, it's all tinged with a bit of like, well, not a bit, but a lot of like dirt. Like Comey, clearly you got the stench of, yeah, he wouldn't do what you want, so you got rid of him. So that makes you look like a bully. Okay. That's a tag on your, in the court of public defense, public opinion. That's not good. McCabe, you fired this man a day or two before he was going to collect his pension. You did it as a jerk move to take this man's pension away from him. How fucking petty is that?
I mean,
and then
he's pretty petty. I mean, there's something going around in the news cycle now that shows just how petty he is. But go ahead.
And then Struck, this guy again. You've completely buried his career. He went from possibly being an exemplary FBI agent to just being some guy in the like office doing bullshit who never will amount to nothing. But you decide to add the extra layer of smear by firing him, even though you didn't need to. Like, you had the perfect political situation with him, even after like the great, showing that he had. At the end of the day, he might have got that little punch in to you, but he completely lost because his life wasn't going to get any better. Now, fuck it. I got books. I got news, media platform. I'm rich, bitch. So you've made him a martyr and you've made him money. Congratulations.
And it's worth noting that aside from the punishment he was getting, they did this big-ass fucking investigation into whether his biases and stuff affected his work, and they concluded that it didn't. So it's like, to me personally, I don't feel like it was even worth punishing him. I mean, yeah, it was not the most professional thing to do, but like that demotion and pay cut and all this, I feel like extreme punishment for, again, I hate to say it because I'm not necessarily saying this makes it okay, but what was pretty much the popular rational opinion at the time, which is, what the fuck's going on with this guy who's running for president? He's like a psycho or something. Like,
yeah,
he had a pretty standard opinion of the guy, and yeah, maybe not shared on work devices. I'm not saying that was smart or good, but it wasn't like he, touched children like some people like to do, apparently. So
yeah, no. So yeah, it's another dumb move by this administration.
And of course, that Trump dude was all over Twitter jerking himself off over this.
Yeah, and then you're gonna gloat over what? You for being stupid? Come on, jeez. This guy needs. Oh my god, he's horrible.
It's crazy that this dude tweets more than I do.
Yeah, I know. He treats more than a normal person. He treats more than most normal people. And you're the president of the United States. How do you have so much time to tweet? I don't have that much time to tweet. Jeez. My gosh.
It's because he's already made the country great again, so he has all this time.
I guess. All right, so the Paul Manafort case is going in a weird way. They've rested the case. The defense has rested the case, and they're going to be moving on to the closing statements in the next day or two. They decided to rest their case without calling any witnesses.
Were we expecting them to?
Well, Paul Manafort and possibly, somebody has to have. I mean,
I don't think that's a good idea. Like, I don't think you put him up on the stand. That he's.
What else?
I feel like he's gonna say some shit that's gonna make it worse.
And that's the thing. One of the arguments for him not testifying in the article they mentioned was that a good point, which is a very good point. Anything that he says in this case can actually be used against him in his other cases. He has a lot of trials to face. So the possibility of him possibly saying something that would incriminate him in another case is a strong reason for him not to testify.
I wonder what he could possibly say, though. I mean, this feels pretty open and shut. Like, what? Like, put him up there. Let's just give him like a pass, right? Like, he can say whatever he wants, and then we have to disregard it for the rest of his trials. What's he gonna say that is supposed to absolve him here?
Yeah, I mean, this is the whole weird, because the defense is that this should be a mistrial, basically, because they feel like the prosecution didn't have enough material or materiality to justify a conviction, and that's their stance. And they feel like they've proved that in their, when they cross-examination of the prosecution's witnesses, which I'm not so sure they did that, especially after Gates got up and did what he did. And they're still trying to blame Gates, by the way, for this. They're still trying to make the strong argument that all the signs points towards him, and there's not enough material that points towards Manafort, which good luck. It's a weird case. Do you think they have something that makes them feel that confident? Because I don't understand confidence in this.
I have to assume that confidence is just a front because, I mean, like I said, this seems pretty open and shut by now. That to me, I'm not even sure why we're having a trial other than it's America. We have trials. This fucking dude, come on.
Yeah, I don't.
Stick a fork in him. He's done.
That's probably true. I don't know. We'll see though, because stranger things have happened. Somebody I know made a comment that they think that he already knows he's going to get pardoned, so why should he care? But it's like not that easy. Again, like I said, last thing he probably wants is pardon, especially if he pardons him after this case. That's just the dumbest thing to do because, like, okay, you've pardoned me for one case. I still have like a gajillion other cases to go, and now I'm a material witness against you, dumbass, because I have no Fifth Amendment right anymore when it comes to this stuff. I can't lie. I can't not say anything.
I just find that image funny. Just Trump like clicking the pardon button for every trial this guy has to go through.
Yeah, no, again, if I'm Mueller, I'm hoping he pardons the hell out of Manafort and Gates, because I'm like, okay, now you can publicly go on record and say everything that you did for this guy without retribution. The floor is yours. Get him.
And if that's the case, he's going to answer those fucking questions because he's not going to like what happens.
Yeah, because again, they can be subpoenaed still. It's not like they can't be subpoenaed. They have to go, and they can't plead the fifth. They must answer the question or perjure themselves and go to jail.
Or they can be held in contempt, I guess. And
yeah, they can go to jail.
Also go, yeah. Either way, you can butt fuck somewhere, buddy. So
right.
I
so
would answer those questions.
Yeah. It's that, but hey, yeah. Good luck, buddy. I hope you survive this thing.
Yeah, but as everyone has said, it's been going pretty fast.
All right, so some small stuff before we get into the last big ridiculousness of this week. It's funny because the ridiculousness of this week has kind of been not that big, except for this running fight that he's having right now with a former employee of his. But I wanted just to mention that like Jim Neidhart dying kind of messed me up. If you don't know who Jim Neidhart is, he's a wrestler. He used to wrestle in WWE. Is where he was most noted as one half of the Hart Foundation, Jim the Anvil Neidhart. And he's the father of a current wrestler, Natalia Hart. And he passed away at the age of 63, which sucks. We've been losing a lot of wrestlers these days. This is ridiculous. Brian Christopher, Nikolai Volkov. So, yeah, my sympathies to that family. Also, did you watch that cow? You watched the cow video, right?
You're an asshole. Yes, I watched that. I don't know why you said that to me, but yes, I watched the entire thing.
The cow video is ridiculous. I don't understand why. There's a question to ask for a podcast. Something I just saw made me think about something for the other podcast. But
I'm mad you sent that shit for real. Just sitting in my office watching this, and I'm like, why am I doing this? Why am I suggesting?
Because she's an attractive woman. That's probably why you were watching it.
She was twerking in a cow.
Yo, the thing is, she's drinking milk and eating a hamburger dressed as a cow. It's so fucking dumb. So fucking dumb.
That song was way too. It was like a full.
Yeah, it was like 5 minutes or something like that. It's too much song for that. Too much.
And sure, she was attractive, but I was like, somebody needs to find this woman help because she's sitting here like dancing, saying she's a cow.
Yes.
She was like, you know, she started rapping and shit. She said something about like these bitches are calves or whatever. I'm like, what is wrong with you, bro? Shut up. We didn't need these bars.
But you could tell that she couldn't think of anything else to do because at the end of the song, she started quoting other people's songs. Like she started doing "Milkshake" by Khalees and all that shit. I was like, okay, just stop.
Brings all the boys to the farm. Like, come on.
Oh, if you haven't seen the cow video, I had to add this link to the description so you can see it because cow video is awesome. It is awesome. Also, last note, SummerSlam is coming up. Are you watching?
Yes. I said that instantly because I was like, can I remember what's on the card that interests me?
Roman Reigns and Brock Lesnar.
You need to shut that shit up. I'm coming for.
We know where everybody. I was going to say we all know what's the feature, AJ and Samoa Joe.
Main event. It won't, but it should.
It probably will. They can't put the Brock thing as actually no. Brock thing is going to be main event. You know why I say that, right? Because your boy Braun is just going to come through and destroy everybody and take the belt. Like when Roman finally gets to beat fucking Brock, like Braun just gonna go roaring through, just like destroy him and take his belt from him.
I don't see it happening, but I hope Kevin Owens beats him, gets the briefcase, and he cashes it. Because fuck
Either
Braun.
way, that's what I feel like.
He's a bully. Fuck that dude.
And that's a funny thing. I feel like that's what's going to happen because they're going to make it look like Roman's about to win and then he's going to get cashed in on because they shit on Roman like that all the time. He did it before. Why not shit on him again? So.
Wouldn't it be like 6 times or something he's failed?
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
They need to send him back to NXT. Oh, shit. But yeah. I don't give a fuck about any match except I think that one. I feel like there's another one.
You don't want to see Carmella defend
I can't believe
against Charlotte and or Ronda Rousey try to beat Little Miss Bliss.
I forgot about, and I'm ashamed of myself, but I forgot about Daniel Bryan and the Miz.
That's the main match. Like right second, that's the second main match right there. Because we get the yes kicks versus the it kick.
I remember thinking there's like 2 matches I want to see, and then I only said one. I'm like, wait a minute, there was 2. What's the other one?
Yeah.
Was it one of the women's matches? No, they're both done. So
yeah, no. It definitely. I mean, there's a couple of other things that might be good, like Shinsuke versus Jeff Hardy might be good. Ziggler and Seth should be good.
Maybe.
The cruiserweight one should be good. Should be really good. You got Cedric Alexander versus Drew Gulak.
That's gonna blow up the pre-show.
Because you got Finn Balor versus Constable Baron. The fuck is this? I hate the fact that he's Constable Baron. Oh my god. Actually, no. The New Day probably put on a good match there.
Fuck those guys.
I mean, it's the New Day against the Bludgeon Brothers. I mean, you don't want to see them become the 5-time WWE World Tag Team Champions. Come on, you know you.
Are you proud of yourself? Are you proud that you did that?
I didn't do the gyration. At least I didn't do the gyration. I could have did Biggie. Could have been like Biggie stripping and shit like that. Also, Rusev and Andre Cien almost should be a good match.
I didn't know they were doing that, but sure.
Yeah, they're gonna be on the kickoff show, of course.
They had a pretty good match just a couple weeks ago.
Oh shit, the Revival is fighting the BT. Why are the Revival being relegated to that? A kickoff match.
They better get those belts.
They better take those belts. You know what I'm really looking forward to though? Takeover. You know, I know you're excited about that too.
Oh man. It's so weird that I look forward to NXT events more than
your girl is getting a title shot.
Miss Sane?
Yes.
Yes.
She's probably gonna get murdered, but
hey, man.
I mean,
it's time for the
come on, sir.
I respect what Baszler's been doing. She's been running a rough shot over that division. So as much as I want Kairi Sane because I love her, like,
ooh, they're gonna have Roderick Strong and Tyler Bate. Nice.
It's gonna be a hell of a match.
Yeah, that is gonna be.
Unfortunately, Mr. Aleister Black is out of the triple threat.
Yeah. Why the Street Profits getting a match? I'm sorry.
They don't deserve one. Shit.
The fuck?
Are the tag titles not being defended?
They are, but I'm trying to look and see. Oh shit! Velveteen Dream's fighting EC3. Oh fuck! Yep. We get that. All right. Yeah, NXT's gonna be better. Fuck that.
It's weird that the developmental brand, because like when you list the matches and then you like hear the names and you react, it's like, why does the developmental brand have more name value than the main?
Yeah, I know. Because I'm looking forward to the championship match. I mean, fucking goddamn Johnny Wrestling and Baby Kratos. It's gonna be ridiculous.
I mean, like up and down the card. It's not like SummerSlam where I'm trying to think of like the 2 matches I want to see. Like every takeover show.
No, I'm gonna watch the whole thing. I'm watching the whole NXT takeover. Like fuck that shit.
Like even the lower tier matches are still pretty good matches by like WWE standards. They may not have like the same build as the upper tier, but if you compare them to what you're gonna see on SummerSlam, they're probably gonna be better than most. So this Charlotte woman then.
Yeah, no. But I need them to add R-Truth to that match, though, the Charlotte match.
As long as Joe leaves champion, I feel like it's going to be a good night. And that's the only prediction I care about. So Joe is going to put that bitch to sleep. And then we'll have a new... We'll be in the nation of Joe. He's going to bring back the nation of violence. It's going to be sick.
Oh my God, he's just gonna hurt people. It's gonna be lovely. All right, so now that we got that out of the way, although there's probably one more bullshit story that I have that has nothing to do with our main topics, but I just wanted to talk about something pleasant before I talk about something stupid, which is the Omarosa drama.
That's pleasant.
Huh? No, what we talked about beforehand.
Oh,
Stupid thing. This is a very stupid thing. So if you haven't heard, Omarosa has written a book. I forget her name. Newman is the last name. I don't know. But
She was like some long ass fucking
right, because she's been married to like a million people. Like, and by the way, rest in peace, Michael Clark Duncan. But what made you want to date that woman? I don't get it, sir. Like,
we will all kneel to Trump.
Anyway, so if you didn't know, Omarosa, famously fired by Trump a million times, has written a book discussing things that went on in the White House. From what I heard, it's a horrible book. And, you know, she's a horrible person, so why would we expect anything better? But she's had some interesting stories where she discussed different things, like having recorded conversations between Trump and meetings and whatnot, which has set Trump off as usual because he's just been going on a tirade about her, culminating into today's comment where he called her a dog, which seems to be setting everybody off.
So I hadn't seen it yet, but I did hear about it on the news.
Yeah, everybody's been going nuts because he referred to her as a dog and things like that, which is foul, but it's Trump. What do you expect?
Human decency. Well,
again, it's Trump. What do you expect? And it's been like this huge debate about this and all of that. First, how do you feel about this whole situation? Seriously,
the dog thing specifically, or
just everything is coming, everything from like this whole drama that she's caused.
I feel like in a world where we have whatever issues we have, the fact that the president is busy talking or, Twitter fighting with some random lady that he hired like 4 times because he's really good at picking the best people is stupid. We've got that situation on the border that he's now trying to shove off onto the ACLU because fuck it too hard. You got this issue with Russia and interference in our elections. The crazy shit he has the EPA doing. Like, there's a lot of stuff that matters. Trade wars. And he's on Twitter going apeshit on this lady because she was not nice to him after she got fired. I think it's really stupid. I think I was trying to find the tweet he sent the other day about this because it really goes back to the about it. A lot of people have been pointing out that he seems to accuse Black people in particular of being low IQ. And more, he just seems to kind of lean into that idea. He doesn't do anything to try to avoid it.
It's actually he did today, at least in the press conference with Sarah Sanders. And I should have brought that up. But did you hear her response to that question?
I didn't know she got asked the question, but no.
Yeah, she got asked the question, and her response was, well, he says insulting things like that to all people. So his defense was he wasn't just insulting her as a Black person. He insults everybody. And so that's fine.
Yeah, she should be. There's a lot of things she should be criticized for. She should be fired for that one because, like, how is your defense of the president that he's a dick to everybody?
Exactly.
We're talking about the president right now.
Yeah. You basically qualified his whole stance and his opinion of that woman by he's just a dick. So.
But he's not a dick in a racist way or sexist way.
Yeah.
He's just a general dick, and he happened to have been being a dick at the time to a Black woman. So
yeah.
Yeah. I don't know. I love how this guy does these like threads that aren't threads. He just keeps, tweeting one after the other. So it was on.
Does he know how to use the thread feature? It would make his life a lot easier.
I'm sure I didn't at some point, so somebody's gonna go back and like find my shit. So,
but no, the thread thing is commonly new. No,
he uses Twitter a lot more than I do, so I feel like if anybody should know, he should know by now.
Yeah, it's more recent, and you don't use it like everybody else do. So no, he's a hyper tweeter. So no, he should know better.
He said this shit yesterday, as a matter of fact. So I thought he said it on Friday or something. This is how the days merge together for me. Wacky Omarosa, whatever. Wow. For some reason, I couldn't pronounce her name when I'm reading it in this tone. Wacky Omarosa, who got fired 3 times on The Apprentice, now got fired for the last time. She never made it, never will. She begged me for a job, tears in her eyes. I said, okay. People in the White House hated her. She was vicious, but not smart. Fucking hell. I would rarely see her, but heard really bad things. Nasty to people and would constantly miss meetings and work. When General Kelly came on board, he told me she was a loser, which I want to come back to that in a second, and nothing but problems. I told him to try working it out if possible because she said only great things about me until she got fired. And then after that, he was like, while I know it's, quote, not presidential, end quote, to take on a lowlife like Omarosa, and while I would rather not be doing so, yeah, fucking right. This is a modern day form of communication, and I know the fake news media will be working overtime to make even wacky Omarosa look legitimate as possible. Sorry. So I wanted to read that in full because there's just so much to unpack there. First,
yes,
the attack on her intelligence, like I mentioned when he called her, what was it? Not loser. It was she was vicious but not smart. Again, why the attacks on people's intelligence? It wasn't part of the conversation. It's not relevant. Like even if she was unintelligent or you felt that way, it's not relevant to the conversation. So why bring it up completely there was no motivation to do it. There was no call to do it. He just did it for no reason, which is part of the reason people think he's racist, because it's not like the conversation was centered around her intelligence or it was relevant in the moment. He felt the need to say it for no good reason. So, yeah, it's feeling more and more and more racist. I wanted to hone in on calling her a loser because, first of all, I highly doubt General Kelly called her a loser because most adults don't talk like second-grade bullies. So I'm doubtful that that's a quote. Not that he put it in quotes. It's just he's the only one that fucking talks like that. Nobody calls people losers nowadays as an adult. That's just not done. And the fact that he feels the need to do it shows how childish he is. The fact that he said that, he tried to get Kelly to work it out with her because she, quote, only said great things about me, end quote. That shows an ego that is unrivaled. I mean, you thought this woman was bad at the job, was being told she was bad at the job. You yourself fired her 3 times before this, but you kept her on because she was stroking your ego dick? Like, what? Whoever is over there with you clearly agreed with me because they made that noise in agreement.
Yeah, I don't know what fell.
Like, as long as they stroke your ego, they should keep their job. And this isn't things like we're inferring. He's just saying them out loud to all of us in public like they're not stupid or crazy.
Yeah, like, and again, this is one of the cases for me where he makes himself look worse. Because all this stuff that you're saying about her, how stupid she is, how she doesn't know how to do her job, how nobody liked her around, blah, 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 blah. You hired this person. You hired this person that, one, as you stated, you fired 3 times before. 3 times before you thought she didn't have what it takes to do her job. You brought this person back. Why? Because she said nice things about you. That shows how insecure you are. Oh, because you said she was crying? Are you that weak that you just give jobs to people if they shed tears? Can we fucking
bring that up for a sec? Do you believe that she did that? That she begged him with tears in her eyes? Because that feels like you know, everybody's so focused on the racism part of that. That when I read that particular line, that felt really sexist to me because I'm like, I'm highly doubtful she did that, and it's weird that you felt the need to lie about it, just to paint this picture of this woman begging you with tears in her eyes. Because I just cannot imagine if she was a man, he would bother to tell this lie. he would never bother to try and paint an image like that. It's purely because she has a vagina that he did that. Again, I think there was some very serious racist undertones to what he said, but I feel like the sexism was really blatant there, and nobody's addressing it.
Yeah, no, because she was like, for what? Why is she crying? Like, okay, you're gonna say beg? Maybe some people probably will. Like, come on, give me a job. I don't even think she begged for the job.
I think but just the combination of it, it made it look like she was like begging, like please, on her hands and knees, crying up to this guy. Like, I don't know, it was a weirdly gross image to try and paint.
Yeah,
it's almost certainly false.
Yeah, no, and it's just the picture that he paints. It doesn't put himself in a great light, and I wonder how he doesn't get that. Like, to me, it makes him look so stupid and weak and fragile. Because, okay, if a woman begs and cries for a job, you're going to be like, okay, you can get national security clearance. How dumb is that?
What was her position again?
I don't know.
She was fairly high up there.
Up there, yeah.
She wasn't like some intern or some shit. She was like,
yeah, no, she was up there. She was a part of his like advisory committee and all that, some shit. So
I don't know who was making the point, but I was watching some news shit. And the guy was, I can't remember what her title was or whatever, but he was making the point like there's people who work, their entire lives in government to get to where she was.
Yeah.
She just walked in with this guy who just kind of gave her the position, which shows that he's super good at hiring people.
Right. Like maybe her job was like black liaison or something like that. I don't know.
Even if so, that's still a stupid hire because a lot of black people don't like her. So
yeah, no, it's not. It's funny because the two black people he put in the highest positions in this like whole administration are two of the least liked black people that you can find. But he did himself no favors. He didn't, he didn't get any cool points at all for that shit.
Nope. And that thing he said about, the fake news media or whatever, trying to make her look legitimate, that's bullshit because they are not accepting her as legitimate. Whenever you watch any of these news stories, they're constantly criticizing her for not being legitimate or trustworthy. They're saying like she's essentially as bad as he is as far as, having credentials or whatever, being noteworthy, being trustworthy, whatever. They're not taking her that seriously. As a matter of fact, he's a huge part of the reason this is even news, or that it's as much news as it is, at least, because I feel like he's forcing this to be a bigger story than it ought to be, and one that will last longer than it should, because he can't keep his fucking mouth shut.
Yeah, I mean, there's a couple of tidbits and stuff she said, like the tape thing where she made the accusation that she recorded stuff. Okay, people were curious to hear what he said. All right, I got that. Now you have the N-word tape that's apparently out there. Okay, that's cool. But until like those surface and are heard and brought to the public, people are going to talk about his book they would have just talked about it for the couple of days, maybe all of last week when it came out, and it would have disappeared. But he had to run his mouth. They had to answer stupid questions. They answer questions stupidly in press conferences. The story could have died.
Sure.
They don't know how to kill their own news cycle.
But something you see with him constantly, right? Like stories that would normally last a few days to a week or two will last like a month. because of him, and literally him, no other reason, because he comments and because he's the president, you have to listen.
Yeah, no, he silence is gold. It reminds me of this story, non-politically related, but this Twitch streamer, the most popular streamer on Twitch, Ninja, he made a comment about how he doesn't play with women because he doesn't want people basically stirring up rumors about him because he's married and things like that. And he doesn't want like any types of conversations where something might be said to be taken and got like misconstrued and blah 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 blah. Now, I don't totally agree. I understand his point. I don't totally agree with him. But he's caught a lot of flack over this, right? So, what do you think would have been the natural response if you were in that situation? What would you have done if, like, you said what you said, and people gave you flack for it? What would you do?
I said what I said just now, or what he'd said?
Like what he just said, and then like people gave you flack for it. What would your response be?
I didn't catch what he said. That was that big a deal.
I know. Again, like I said, people have made a huge deal about it because of it. But what if they made a huge, like, again, you're him. You said that you don't play with female gamers because you don't want it to cause issues in a relationship and people to like spread rumors about you on the internet. Try to think, but people have an issue with you saying that. What's your response?
Tough. I mean, I have a right to play with whoever I want, I guess. And I'm not doing it just to be discriminatory because they're just a woman. I have a personal relationship that I want to make sure is all good and shit. I think.
Now, do you feel like you should respond further after people get upset over it, or
if there's some miscommunication, like they're thinking that I'm saying something I wasn't saying, I might correct.
No, they just think you're wrong.
I probably wouldn't bother to keep fighting. No, as long as my thing is not necessarily that people like agree with me. It's just that they understand what I was saying, and if they understand and they still disagree, fine.
Well, he made the mistake of continuing on and putting out another statement about that. Don't get me wrong. I want you to understand. I'm not discriminatory, which I don't think he needed to say. He shouldn't have said it because now he's like he conflagrated even more because now people are like, "Oh, you're just saying that now because you got caught." And the only reason I brought that up is because this is what Trump does, and this is something that I needed a lot of people to understand: is that when you sometimes say things and people don't agree or there's a backlash. If you've already spoke your piece and given like your reasons to the best of your abilities, and people still disagree or still got something to say, shut up. Shut the fuck up.
Sure.
What do you have to prove? If it's really not that bad, what do you have to prove? If it doesn't like, and that's what I feel like Trump does all the time is that he keeps his problems alive because he can't get over the fact that people feel or think a certain way about him. He's so fucking It's like sometimes, especially in these days with social media, you have to just be quiet. It's like, another story that came up how people are upset at Sony because Sony won't do crossplay on all platforms. Like you can't play people on Xbox and all that. That shit's still coming up. And then like some company, Bethesda, came up and was like, we're going to make it so this card game come out can be played by everybody at the same time. And everybody's like, oh, that's a shot at Sony. Sony hasn't made a comment, hasn't said anything about it. Why? Because Sony's not stupid. You can talk all the shit you want. If I don't want you to do it, it ain't going to be done. And you know what? If you don't like it, stop buying my shit. But you're not going to stop buying Sony's shit because guess what? Spider-Man comes out in 24 days, people. I dare you to get rid of your PlayStation 4 to not play that game because you want to play stupid shit like Fortnite with people on Xbox on your PlayStation. I dare you to tell me that you're not going to play the next Last of Us because Sony won't cross-play a fucking card game by Bethesda.
Red Dead.
I fucking dare you. And you know why? Because you're not going to do it. Because you're not stupid yourself. You're not that stupid. You're going to bitch and moan, and you're going to give Sony your money. And that's why Sony's like, you know what? They said what they said. We don't want to really get into this. Not something we're looking for. People are like, oh, I can't believe they said that. Sony hasn't said anything since that. Why? Because I said what I said. Don't like it? Okay. There's ways to like take care of that. Don't buy my shit. I said what I said. And Trump
he so that example you gave with that ninja dude, like, because I can certainly understand, in public discourse when you feel like you're not being understood, or like there are times where it makes sense for the conversation to keep going, but Trump never has a conversation. One, he's usually the one starting it, so it's not like like this ninja dude where he's having a back and forth with the community or whatever. Trump will attack a random thing that nobody's even talking about.
That's very true.
So he's usually the catalyst in the first place. And it's not like he's, getting some reaction from the community, in this case, the world or America, and saying, no, that's not what I meant. I was trying to say this or that. He's never really like trying to correct the record or offer clarity. He's often just screaming more, or in some cases, he's not just not offering clarity, he's intentionally trying to confuse everybody as to what his stance is. So he'll actually try to muddy the waters on purpose, which is another reason
very true
that he ends up stuck in these conversations so much, because then the rest of us have to argue about what he meant because he won't tell us straight up. So
that's very true. I mean, and I think that's another thing. He should just get to the point, or if it's not, again, this Omarosa book, you don't need to say shit. Yeah, she said some things. It's interesting. That would be my response. Like, she felt like she needed to say whatever she said. None of it's true, but I mean, if you guys enjoy it, fine. And then people come back and was like, oh, you're hiding something. And like, okay. And shut up. Shut the fuck up.
But part of the reason I say that is because I think he just wants this to happen. Because I think most of us look at this and like, well, this is stupid. But it's only stupid based on the assumption that you don't want this problem. I think he wants the problem. So I think that's why he's so motivated to run his mouth. Because a sane person would not want to deal with this shit. But we're not dealing with the same person.
Yeah, that's true. I mean, and I guess that's my problem, is I try to like look at it from behave like a normal person when he's not. He's not, again, like, I guess my example is kind of like horrible because, again, this ninja guy responded to the question, people got frustrated, and he decided to go further when he didn't need to. That's a typical discourse, even with the things that I think is extra that he shouldn't have gone. It's a typical discourse. There really never is any typical discourse with this guy, because if I say something about Trump, he starts name calling, picking. Yeah, he doesn't just give an answer. It's like, no, that's not true. Or like, well, that's not how I feel. And I think you guys, like, if he would just actually come out now and then and just be like, you know what? Instead of just fake news, they're just doing this and they're just like an enemy of people. If he would just say, the media feels the need to over exaggerate on certain things because I guess, it makes a story. It's a good story. Truth is, none of this stuff is true, and it's just like, but if that's what you believe, that's what you're gonna believe. Just leave it like do it at a more, normal way, something like that. I would even take they're wrong, and then he stops. Like, don't even have to expand or just be eloquent about it. Just be like, no, that's not true.
A lot of time, purposeful obfuscation. So I think one of the great examples is what was it? If it wasn't this week, it was last week. I guess the anniversary of the Charlottesville thing. One of the things everybody in the news was talking about
was this weekend.
Yes, they were talking about around Trump, why he won't just come out and clearly say that he denounces the viewpoints of white supremacists, essentially. And the fact is, he doesn't. He could very easily just get on his Twitter machine that he's always on and make a very clear statement that I don't agree with these motherfuckers, in particular, that I denounce their beliefs and their behaviors and blah, blah, blah. But he doesn't do that. He says things like, I am against racism from everywhere. Good people on all sides. Like he's constantly not giving a straightforward answer, which it forces us to have these types of conversations. So it's like anything he adds to the discourse is not to further the discourse; it's to throw it off the rails.
Yeah, very, very true. Speaking of that, rally, did you hear about what happened at the rally that happened in DC this weekend?
There was like a trillion white supremacists and this small, no, it was like what, 20 or so?
24, I believe, was the final count. They hung out for about an hour and then they ran back to wherever their hotel was.
And they got just, I don't know the word I'm looking for is. I don't want to say decimated because it makes it sound like it was violent. They got flooded by anti-asshole people.
Yeah, where it was like less than 30 of them. There were hundreds of counter protesters that showed up.
Which is interesting. So when they were talking about this, you know, white supremacist thing, I just assumed that there would be a big number. When they said like 20 something, I was like, what the 20 something? I could go out on the street and gather more people than that right now for nothing. I could say who likes high fives and I get like 50 people. What the fuck? I'm not saying I'm upset that they had such a small number. I'm just kind of surprised by it.
I am too, because they talked this talk and it was like, yeah, we're gonna like stand up for white rights and all this stuff, and it's like you can't even get anybody to public, which kind of like shows just how ridiculous their stance was, because for all the bluster, you can't even get your own people to stand behind us like that, you know?
I mean, it makes me wonder how many there are, because, you know, you have a lot of people in this country worried about racism, which is fair. But I think there's this idea that there's like a shit ton of these types of people. And I just don't think it seems to be the case. I think it's easier to notice them online and in news and all that shit.
Yeah.
But in reality, they're not so many. They're not as powerful as we think.
I think it is a lot. I just think that you just pointed out a good fact. It's like you tend to see it mostly online and things like that. If they can isolate themselves to where they don't have to face opposition, it's all good. Like, I don't consider being tweeted back to or stuff like that opposition, because at the end of the day, you can hide behind whatever name you spout, whatever the fuck you want to say. It's a lot different when you're in public. Like, they were showing video footage of some of the people who were there, and they did some interviews with them, and they were all covering up their faces with flags and all this stuff so nobody could recognize them. And it's like, if this is something that you truly believe in, and this is something big, you would think you would want to be more, you know, open and public about it. But the thing is, while it is something that they truly believe in, they don't want to deal with the consequences, because they know that the consequences, and I think that's why it's always good that people point them out and call them out. And the fact that what the counter protesters did, they peacefully did that. You know, I'm glad they did that, because it's like, it proves that when people are trying to do things like this and trying to be the bully in this way, they don't stand up well to pressure. Things like this tend to fold easier when you put a little pressure on it. And this weekend proved it. It's like they were supposed to get David Duke and all these other people to talk. Only the organizer talked. He was the only person who got up on the podium and talked. No one else would speak for them or showed up to speak that they had scheduled. So it's like, you know, yeah.
When I say I don't think there's a lot, I guess I think one of the things is I tend to kind of categorize these people, because I think there's a fair amount of racist people, or people who are racist to some degree, but they're not the same. Like these guys who are willing to go out and rally. I think they're a special breed of racism, of racists. You have the the people who at least come off more intellectual, I guess, like the David Dukes, who, I don't know, they don't come out in like biker gear and like fucking rallying all crazy and shit. They're like a more highbrow racist. And then you have, you know, obvious just internet trolls who aren't necessarily racist, but they're loud enough on the internet to be noticeable. And you have these people who have like these mild xenophobic bents. You know, they're scared of all the brown people coming into the country, not to the extent that they're like, you know, whites are the supreme race in that like Nazi kind of way. Like what they, like I said, they're xenophobic, they're a bit racist, but not in the same manner where they just believe like white people are just the supreme beings. They just have a discomfort with change, which is not good, but is different. I don't know. What are you looking at?
SmackDown, and there's like this is two children and their teenage brother in the ring about to get destroyed by the Bludgeon brother.
The Bludgeons are, oh man.
And they got a name. The funny thing is they're jobbers, but they actually have a name for them. They call themselves the Triple Threat. It's like, oh my god.
Oh god, good shit. But I don't know. I like to be somewhat more positive and think of it as a nice visual indicator that is worried about racism as we are. The numbers of at least some of those types of racists aren't as great as we think. Or at the very least, I guess a different way of saying it is the number of people who would stand up against racism are greater, because it's not like it was 24 to like 48 or something. It was like 24 against a shit ton of people that went out there and mobilized. And I think that's worth mentioning and celebrating, that there's that many people who feel that strongly about saying no to shit like that they went out there and did that. I don't think we're going to really talk much about them because we're mostly focused on the white supremacists there, but I don't know. I think that's something positive, a nice indicator there. Yeah, that not everything in this country is horrible.
Yeah. By the way, the people are upset about them protecting them as they got on the train, the local police. Don't be upset about that. Only reason I say that is because I remember telling you how there was talk like Metro was thinking about offering them their own private trains. They didn't offer them their own private trains, but what they did was they did have police escort them to a car where they were the only ones on the car, the handful of people. And people were outraged by that still. No, because what did you want to do? You want them to get like, I know I said like before I made the joke that, I mean, no, they shouldn't get their own train. They probably should just ride with the regular people, because I would love to see what happens, especially if they would have got on one particular train line that goes through a lot of like predominantly black and somewhat questionable areas as well. But no, I don't want those people to get hurt, because at the end of the day, if something would have happened to them, guess who would have got in trouble? The people who went after them. They weren't going to get in trouble.
Sure.
Oh yeah, police should have fucking protected them, because like, no, don't start an incident. No, don't give somebody the opportunity to do something stupid.
And as it should be. I mean, we shouldn't be solving problems in the middle of town with violence and shit like that. That's not how America is supposed to operate. You have some people out here who say dumb shit. The rest of society should be able to say that's stupid in return, and then that should be it. I personally don't support the violence and shit, because right before we started, I was on Facebook and I saw some picture of this dude, and he did like the Nazi salute, and then like the next picture was like some dude punching him in the face. And you look at the comments, and there's like this dude, he's woman actually, she said something like, you know, my grandfather didn't kill Nazis just to have them come back. Fuck this, kill them all, blah blah blah. I'm like, no.
No.
First of all, you shouldn't equate some random dude sucker punching a dude to, you know, our military back in the day fighting Nazi tyranny. in Europe because it's not the same fucking thing. But second, you should be able to say dumb shit in an open society and not get hurt or killed over it. As I always say, stupid ideas should lose out to smarter ideas if we have a truly open society where we can actually talk about them, and that is the case. I don't think most people are Nazis in this fucking country, and there's a reason for that. It's stupid. Shit. Yeah. I see this a lot, especially with like my more liberal friends, where they're just kind of okay with violence. Not even just okay, like they seem to almost promote it. Like, yeah, you should punch Nazis. You should. In the extreme cases, I've seen them say.
Maybe I'll accept a little punch. No, but seriously, yeah.
I mean, but the person I mentioned said we should kill them, and I was like, it's weird to me how you don't see how that's not okay in America. That's not what America stands for. You don't just kill people you don't like or disagree with. Maybe I'm too idealistic, but you should be able to like talk to those people and hopefully change their mind. And yes, there are white supremacists and Nazis who've had their minds changed. Yeah. They do exist. I think I actually tweeted out once that I was listening to a podcast with this dude who was like a former white supremacist or whatever, just like listening to his story, like how he got, indoctrinated in that shit, how he became in one of those gangs or whatever they were, how he eventually came out of it and helped other people see that it was wrong and all that shit. Like, it's certainly possible, and it happens. And I might do that shit out again because it was a very interesting listen, just to listen to the experience from like that point of view. It's certainly not one you normally hear. But.
Yeah, no, I agree. I mean, yeah, no, it's fine. They got a police escort to their car and got escorted off. Totally fine with that. Because one of them would have ended up dead, and it would just gave them fuel for the fire. And that's the last thing that I wanted to see happen. I'm glad they got shouted out and that they looked stupid and that their whole plans fell apart. That's good enough for me.
I was looking at somebody covering the footage at the time, and they mentioned that like somebody was like throwing stuff or something, and other people were like, "Don't throw stuff." And I just looked at them like, "You shouldn't have to tell adults not to throw shit. This is stupid." You already outnumber these guys by like a fucking lot. You definitely don't have to throw shit at them.
Some people don't pay it.
But that's the type of thing that gets blown up in the news, right? Like, because then it turns into this thing where like, see, these leftists were terrible. They were terrorists. They were attacking. They were violent. It's like, it gets a lot of negative coverage for no good reason, because there's no good reason to be throwing shit at people.
Yeah. There's not. By the way, this is a good promo for the Miz Bryan match that they're doing. Because they're going back to like shit when Bryan first came in and the Miz was fucking with them.
I saw them put up a banner a little bit ago. It said like 8 years in the making. I was like, God damn.
Yeah, no, it's like
that makes me definitely want it at Mania. But for you guys that are gonna watch SummerSlam, those are the two matches you want. This is AJ Styles, Joe, and I can't believe I'm fucking saying this, but Bryan and the Miz.
I know you want a Miz match. God damn it, we've come so far.
Look at where the country is, guys. Like, we have a bunch of people punching down racists. We have the Miz that we want to see maybe main event SummerSlam. Like,
yeah, things ain't as hopeless as we think.
If the Miz
can main event a goddamn pay-per-view nowadays without being booed, there's something right.
There's hope for everybody to do anything.
Yeah.
Fucking hell, dude. Shout out to the Miz for giving us hope.
I know.
Oh my God.
All right. I think that's gonna do it. The last thing I wanted to talk about is, of course, Spider-Man comes out in 24 days.
Fucking sick.
Can't wait.
Before you mention that, I had this. It's the question of the day on Askfm. It's what hairstyle do you like to see on the opposite gender?
Dreads, afros, natural hairstyles.
All right.
Shit turns me off.
I didn't know how to answer it because I was like, is red a hairstyle? Does it count? Or is it just the color?
Just the color?
I like society has gotten into this nice celebration of like natural black hair, and I'm like, yeah, it's kind of like just let it grow out and be crazy. It's kind of hot. Other than that, red, something insane.
Well, duh, we know this about you.
I mean, I'm just saying.
You just missed Becky Lynch, like, by the way.
I saw her. She is fine as fuck.
Speaking of which, did you see her on that New Day Uncut video? Where they had like Tyson Kidd and a whole bunch of people walking through.
Yeah, she threw down some crazy ass putt and then she left. She walked down the stairs.
That shit is so ridiculous. Love the New Day people. New Day awesome.
They're a fucking menace.
They're
everything wrong with this country.
By the way, I'm gonna send you a tweet that made me sad. A boy sent it to me. No, it is, because when you see this, it's like, oh my god, this is so true.
Oh my god, but yeah, I was curious about that question because I was thinking about like all the different hairstyles I'm finding attractive nowadays. Oh my god! Oh wow!
Yeah,
that is sad. I thought that was going to be like funny sad. It's not funny sad at all.
Sad,
it's just sad.
Yeah.
Well, that's depressing. But Spider-Man. You know what? Spider-Man has Mary Jane Watson, and she's a redhead. So I'm just saying. Saying that.
Not Miles, it's Peter.
The real Spider-Man likes redheads. I'm just saying. There have been a couple other.
Didn't he like win though more?
But she died because she didn't have red hair. Bam.
Okay.
Don't think about it. Facts. If she had red hair, her neck wouldn't have broken. I'm just saying. Anyway.
Oh God. And then on that morbid, ridiculous note, I think we're gonna end this. So remember, if you have any questions, we do have an Askfm link for the whole channel. We also have personal ones. It's all in the description. Go and ask us some more silly questions.
If I haven't answered them yet, it's not because I'm never going to. I'm just kind of behind. And some of them are just, like I said, badly written, so I won't answer them because they're fucked up. And I don't even know what some of the questions mean sometimes.
Yeah, because again, some of the ones I get personally, like the one I told you about the other night. What does it mean if a girl smiles at a boy? Yeah.
Yeah.
Or I got something about the Arrowverse. This came in. I don't fucking care about the Arrowverse.
Everyone that said, like, do you really believe you're intelligent? Why? And I was like, I don't recall ever making that argument. But okay.
Yeah. Like, did you like actor Blake Heron? Did you know that he died? Who the fuck is Blake Heron? And I guess no.
I got it. I mean, there's still, I don't know if you answered it yet, but there's still a couple on the His Point review that you got to answer.
Yes, I know. I'm trying to get Katina. I'm still not answering one of them. I'm sorry. She's going to force me to answer it. And I'm doing one.
I feel like I got one of yours. Like, what's your wildest fantasy?
No, I haven't gotten that one yet. Thank you.
No. I can forward it to you. What's your wildest fantasy? Black.
No, I don't need that.
Does it involve somebody calling you Big Daddy?
No. It really doesn't. No. God damn it, no. Yeah, I'm looking at these questions and I'm just like, who is this probing me and trying to see what the hell going on in my life? Like, what would be harder for you to tell someone you love them or that you do not love them back? What type of shit is that?
That's easy. It's much harder to tell somebody you love them. I tell people I hate their guts every fucking day. That's easy.
Well, that's because you're an evil person that doesn't care about anyone's feelings.
But if you say you love somebody, you're risking rejection. That's scary. I mean, not that rejecting people is pleasant, but like, you know, unless you're like already in a relationship with them that's been going for a while, and then you've said like I love you already, and then you were like, actually though, like that would be hard. But man, I think the love thing is harder. I don't know. I need more information about the situation.
Well, if you want my answer, you have to watch his point in her review. Promo.
I'm just answering them because I'm not on the show, so this is the only forum you're getting from me.
Okay, you want to answer a couple of more?
Some of the ones you guys got were scary though.
Yeah, they are scary.
I don't know. Scary. Give me the guest spot. Maybe I'll come on and answer some.
No, well, I know one in particular that you would never answer that I don't want to hear an answer for.
There's nothing I wouldn't answer, bro.
Oh, so if... yeah, no, this one is... No.
Send it to me. I'm curious.
No, I think you've heard it because I said it on the show. Have you ever had romantic feelings for your co-host?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, that one time you did that Carlton dance, it was pretty.
Oh my God! All right, we're done. We're done. We're done, sir.
What? Done. You said I wouldn't answer.
No. We've gone down the awkward path long enough. Anyway,
all right. Anybody who comments on the YouTube videos, if it seems like I'm not like responding to them, you should just hit me up on Twitter or something. Because like I try to check them every once in a while and respond, but I feel like I miss a couple because I'll look and I'll see like, it doesn't have that many views, and then I'll come back and it'll have like 10, 15 views or something later. I don't know. You guys view them at a weird time, so fuck you guys for that. But I try to come in and like engage in the conversation with you guys. So if it seems like I don't, it's not because I hate you, it's because I missed it. And you should give me a poke on the Twitterverse, and I'll get at that shit.
All right. That's it. So, again, thank you for watching. Thank you for listening, all that good stuff. Hope you enjoyed. Again, you can hit us on Askfm if you got questions. Gmail, all that good stuff. Twitter is always a good way to harass people online. So that be it. Any suggestions before we go, other than SummerSlam and buy Spider-Man, which everybody should do?
People should read the current run of Batman by Tom King. I dig it.
His heart's broken.
I mean, fuck that guy for writing that shit, but it's still good. Like, I can say I hate him, but I respect the work. So, yeah, read that shit. I dig it. It's really, really well written. And not just because, it's Batman and he's fighting people. Like, there have been issues where there's very little fighting, but it's just so well done. Like, this 2-part thing called, like, Double Date, where it was Batman and Catwoman going on a double date with Superman and Lois Lane, and it was just like extremely well done. It's fucking adorable. It's a 2-parter, you guys. If you don't read the entire
run, I have to read that because I want to see what that is like.
I'm gonna send that shit because it's just I don't know how to explain it. Like, I'm trying to get my other friend to read it. Just if you don't read the entire Batman run, just read this because it's just fucking adorable. And I can't believe I'm saying that about a Batman story because a lot of Batman stories are not adorable. They're rough. Like, after I read some Batman shit, I have to go and read something cheery like She-Hulk or Like something with like a positive vibe, because some Batman shit is just stuff to read. But that's my thing. I'm suggesting a comic run for the day. Current run of Batman, do it up.
Yeah. All right. So now I have to read Batman again. Yay. I don't mind that. All right. So again, thank you again. Appreciate you guys. See you later. Next time on the Reason Reborn. Hey.